Hello and welcome to the STV Radio Football Show bonus episode. We are going to be discussing the split fixtures for the Scottish Premiership, and we're delighted to have with us here for this bonus episode Gavin from Scotland's Coefficient.
Good morning, Ewen. How you doing?
Bad, mate. There's a lot of people out there who think that we're not friends because of what happened yesterday on X, but we've been friends for how many years now?
Couple of years now, I would say, yeah. Online friends. I think this is the first time we've actually met in real life.
We've not met before.
Not that I recall, no. I think I would remember meeting you in real life, yeah.
But we have been friends for a while, and I've made videos for you.
You did indeed.
In fact, listen, I'm not blowing smoke up my own arse piece here, right? But you're kind of, the position that you're in, it was with partly my help.
Well, let's not go overboard here, Ewan. You did kindly respond to a request to film a video.
To help you grow your website, to grow your Twitter
Praising
following.
the work that I did, yes.
And listen, see the work that you do. There's nobody else in Scotland that does it better than you. There's no doubt about that.
It's too late to start sucking up now.
No. No, you are, but you're a breath of fresh air. It's what Scottish football has needed for a long, long time. We haven't always agreed. In all the years that you and I have been speaking and we've been communicating on social media, we haven't always seen eye to eye.
Rarely, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen that often. But this week, we don't agree.
Yeah.
Would that be fair to say?
That would be fair to say. So the one thing I don't like in sort of, don't want to tar anyone with a brush, but mainstream media, I suppose, is the headlines tend to be, so I remember a few years ago, exclusive, Rangers will go to Rugby Park for a third time after the split. And that was the season that Kilmarnock were beating Rangers and Celtic all the time on their plastic pitch. And I looked at it and I was like, that's just not possible. Like, that is not going to happen. So I don't like misinformation getting out there. So I just like to look into people's complaints or look into how things work and just put out the facts. This is actually how it works. And when I saw a video on my home screen of Bono from U2, and it had 3 million views, and he's in his car, and SPFL are a joke, and they've always been a joke. I was like, okay, well, are they a joke? Let's actually look. What was the options available when they did the split fixtures, and could there be an alternative that would have kept Bono, also known as Ewen Cameron, happy before doing his rant?
This has been one of the best seasons in Scottish football for a generation. It's had everything. Controversy, drama. So much has gone on in this season that there's going to be a documentary about it at some point in the future. It's been brilliant. I've loved every second of it. It's been stressful, it's been fun, it's been entertaining, the banter's been amazing. But here we are on the day that the SPFL announced the fixtures for the split. What a joke of an organisation they are. I don't like the split. I don't like a 12-team top division. I have issues with Neil Doncaster. I have issues with the SPFL. I've got issues with the SFA. I've got issues with the referees. The list is endless. And then today, they prove why fans across Scottish football don't believe they know what they're doing. Hearts away to Celtic Park on the final day of the season. I mean, seriously. I'm sure some of you will probably prove me wrong with this, but is it not more often than not that the team that's at the top of the table going into the split fixtures gets the final game at home? Hearts have deserved to play in front of our fans on the final day of the season. Whether we're in a title hunt or not, we've deserved that for what we've done so far. Let's just assume for a second Hearts are still in the title race going to Celtic Park. And a Hearts win or a Hearts draw wins us the league. With few fans in that corner of the stadium and with a restricted view. That's the reward that we are getting. Celtic and Rangers have dominated this league for 40 years. We should be playing our final game of the season at home. The SPFL, you're a joke. Always have been, always will be. What was your issue with that video?
Well, the issue I had was that you were saying that the SPFL are a joke and always have been, and that you were inferring that had it been anyone other than Hearts, there would have been a different outcome.
Well, that's not entirely true. I wasn't inferring it just about Hearts. There was, I'm not accusing you of doing what a lot of people do on X, which is to take a certain part of what I was saying and then blow up into something else. I've had an issue with the SPL when it comes to how the split fixtures are created. I've had an issue with the split for I don't know how many years. I have an issue with the SPFL and how they run Scottish football. So there was a whole host of reasons that I put forward as to why I think the SPFL are a joke. And there's nothing that you're going to say to me today that's going to change that. But you're here to debate with me and explain to me why you believe that the SPFL are good at what they do and that the split fixtures for this season was the correct way to do it. So I'm going to give you the floor. You can tell me what you think, not just about Hearts, but in general, the split fixtures as a whole for the top half of the table and the bottom half of the table. I don't think it's fair. I've never believed that the split fixtures have been fair for the bottom half of the table or the top half of the table. And I've got a number of examples that I'm going to share with you for this particular season and the split fixtures for this year. And I'd like to think that I'm going to get you to agree with me that there is a problem within Scottish football when it comes to the integrity of our game with the questions that I'm going to raise with you. But I'm going to allow you to react to that video and explain why you think I'm wrong.
Right. So, first of all, I'm not here to say that SPFL does nothing wrong. Literally, all I looked at was what was the alternatives of the fixtures. So first of all, let's talk about how the fixtures are done. So for more than 10 years, just the regular season fixtures, the SPFL have hired a management company, I think they're called Got Sport or Got Soccer. They create the fixtures. That's what's known as the supercomputer in the media. All the SPFL does is gives them the constraints during a regular season. So, for example...
So, see if you're going further, I'm sorry, I will just pip a little bit. So this quote-unquote supercomputer is what?
So, obviously, it's not a random generation of fixtures. It's, here's the constraints, give us a set of fixtures, and they will probably generate... Now, this is just publicly available information, so I don't know how many sets of fixtures they run, but they will run fixtures and give them to the SPFL. For example, the City rivals can't play at home on the same day in a regular season, so you can't have the two teams in Dundee playing on the same day. Same with Glasgow, same with Edinburgh. So that's one of the constraints that go in. If it was a random supercomputer, you would end up with these teams playing at home, so we have to put constraints in. Other ones would be the champions of all four divisions start at home on the opening day, and that's just what's done to allow them to raise the flag.
Yeah.
In the opening 6 matches, they try to give everyone 3 home and 3 away so that it doesn't feel like you get off to a bad start because you've had 4 away games. So where we talk about mathematical impossibilities, which is what I said for the Hearts fixtures, it is impossible to have everyone play home, away, home, away, home, away when you have a 12-team league playing 33 rounds. So some teams are going to have doubles during the season, home, home, or away, away. So they try to limit that. So another constraint will be that not the same team is having all of these away doubles during a season, for example. The last one that I'll mention here is the fixtures are flipped. The pairings are flipped. Now, that's a key one. So, for example, if Hearts were at home at Aberdeen last season, then the next season, in the first round of fixtures, then the next season that would be flipped. So what that means is where we've come to the split and Celtic are due 3 home games after the split, and Rangers and Hearts are only due 2 home games. Had this been last season and we were in the exact same position, it would have been a mathematical impossibility to have Celtic at home on the last day and meet all the other post-split constraints that we've not got to yet. So it just so happens that Hearts are on course to win their first title since, when was it? 1960? So you'd have been in your early 20s or something. So
I'm letting you speak. I'm no biting yet.
So
you're throwing out the lines.
So it's a huge season for Hearts, and I totally understand this. Had it been last season, Hearts would have been at home on the final day, and Celtic couldn't have been, and we make all these constraints that they have for after the post-split.
You yourself on X have said it wasn't impossible to get Hearts to play the last game at home. You said that yourself.
No, I've said it was...
So it's not impossible.
No.
It wasn't impossible.
No, so there's no rules that say the champion has to be at home at the last day, or nobody can play 3 away games in a row. These are all just guidelines that they try to follow. And they publish the guidelines that we try to do these things. So it was mathematically impossible to have Hearts at home.
But it's not impossible.
No, for this, to finish at home and meet all the constraints. Okay. You could remove a constraint and put Hearts at home.
Right. Now, this is where the issue is for me. That's not fair, that there's all these constraints that are built in to the Scottish Premiership. The split isn't fair.
Right.
Would you say the split is fair?
There's always going to be unfairness in this sort of system.
But what I'm talking about in regards to the split as a whole, I'm asking you, Gavin, do you think the split is fair when it comes to 38 games in a long season in the Scottish Premiership? The way that is decided, is it fair?
The way it's decided is fair, but of course there'll be aspects that are unfair. Livingston are only getting 18 home games. That's unfair. Yes. But there's no other way around it.
But then,
with the current format we've got.
Doesn't that question the league's integrity? When you're sending Livingston, for example, away from home 20 times, when you look at the other aspects within the split fixtures, there are so many, I've got loads here, which I'll go through with you in just a second. My issue with the split has always been it's not fair. Right. And it never has been fair. And we're a bit of a joke. And when it comes to Hearts in particular, which was a point that I also made in my video, 15 out of the last 16 seasons, the team who was top of the table when the split fixtures were announced got to play at home on the last day of the season. You've just admitted there was a way that Hearts could have played at home, but a constraint has stopped it. That's human interference. That's human interference. So that for me is unfair. That for me is a problem. And it's not just for Hearts. That's just throughout the league. And I'm going to be looking at Livingston. I'm going to look at Falkirk. I'm going to look at other teams in the league who, for me, have been given a disadvantage. We can't be sat here, Gavin, talking about teams who are being disadvantaged and teams who are not getting a fair crack of the whip, and teams who are being shafted left, right, and centre. This is what's happening in the SPFL every single year when it comes to the split. But you're sat here trying to defend an organisation who, with their constraints, their human intervention, is causing this problem, which is causing issues across Scottish football for a lot of football fans. And that's why I called you the SPFL mouthpiece, because you came out there and you defended them as a body. I think them as a body are a joke, and changes need to be made from top to bottom. How can you defend a system that is, as you've just said, is unfair? And there's going to be an imbalance. There should never be an imbalance. It should never be unfair. These words should never be talked about in regards to Scottish football. You're using them, I'm using them. Why? I'll tell you why we're using them, because it's a joke, because it shouldn't be there. The split shouldn't be in place. Under the current system, it shouldn't be in place.
So
Hearts could be at home on the last day of the season. They choose not to do that.
Yeah,
they choose.
We've not even got to the constraints. One of them is that the police are saying you can't have the derbies on the final day. So that's one of the constraints. Otherwise, that if you remove that changes things.
But the other one, Gavin, that again I did see on social media, you say one of the constraints is, they can't have teams playing 3 games away from home. Right. That's another human constraint that they've put in. But we can play 3 games away from home during a normal league season. But this is still part of the normal league season. Why are we separating the two? Right. It's 38 games in a season. Yet we stop at match 32, and before match 33, we sit down and human intervention on the computer with built-in constraints says it's not fair.
Let's talk through each of the constraints in a minute, but the main thing you're missing here is that...
Am I wrong?
I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm saying is you're missing the fact that we have a split to stop us having a 44-match season. That's physically impossible, especially with the European competitions going to 10 games on average for each team. So to have a 12-team league, which is what we've got, you either have a 38-game season with a split or a 44-match season, which is way too long, right? And in Europe, countries that are changing their things, this is now known as the Scottish model, and it's not seen as a joke. So Switzerland implemented it 2 years ago because it was seen as the best way to get around having a 12-team league. So other nations are adopting it, and Scotland's had it for 25 years. So of course there's unfairness in it. Falkirk have had 4 of their fixtures flipped. Livy are only getting 18 home games in a season, but this has happened every year for 25
and
seasons.
every year we've been having this argument.
Aye,
and as I said in that video that I put out earlier in the week, Gavin, is that my issue isn't just about Hearts not getting the last game at home. As I said in that video, my issue has been with the SPFL in the sense of this split. A 12-team top division playing each other 4 times a year. These are issues that I have banged on about for a long, long time. So let's just go through, let's go back to the original point, which is the
Good
split
idea.
itself, right? Let's go back to the split itself.
So talk about the constraints to why Hearts couldn't play at home, right? And all my article was saying that it's a mathematical impossibility to meet all the constraints and have them at home. So before the split fixtures were out, I was putting on my social media example fixtures of how it could work, and I had Hearts at home every single time because they are top of the league, so they should get the last game at home. What the SPFL have done this year is, and the biggest complaint from managers in football is recovery time between games. So if you're playing on a Wednesday night, you have to recover Thursday. You've then got Friday to train. If your title winning match is on the Saturday and you're playing against Celtic or whoever, and they played on the Tuesday night, so they've had an extra day's rest, that is a huge advantage to them, right? So the SPFL have said that to make it as fair as possible, because they envisage that this is going to go at the final day because you are all so close in the table, everybody plays at the same time on the second last match as well as the last match.
So the Wednesday night.
So you all play Wednesday night. You get the same amount of time. It's totally fair. That constraint stopped the fixtures that I wanted because my fixtures had Rangers and Celtic both at home on the second last game. One on the Tuesday night, one on the Wednesday night. And I overlooked as a thought that actually that is kind of unfair. If Rangers are on the Tuesday night, they've got an extra day's recovery over Celtic and Hearts or whoever they didn't play. So I totally understand why they've brought that in. If they didn't bring that in, Hearts could be at home on the final day.
But again, that happens in leagues up and down the country,
and everybody moans about it.
But again, that is a better solution to what they've given us right now.
No, so what you're saying is that's having somebody getting disadvantaged with a 1 day's less recovery is a better solution to enable Hearts to go home on the last day. So that's all you're saying. You're saying you want that disadvantage for Rangers, let's say, just so you can be at home on the last day.
15 out of the last 16 seasons, the team at the top of the table.
Probably, but carry on.
No, it's 15.
It's definitely not.
It is.
It'll be 14 out of 16 or 13 out of 16. But I take the point. It does normally happen.
Right, it does normally happen. And the SPFL themselves, in their own statement after the hullabaloo about the split fixtures that the fans were upset about, more or less said, yeah, we would normally put the team at the top of the table when we announce the split fixtures to finish the season at home.
But it wasn't possible due to the constraints.
But you've just given us reasons, and you've said yourself, Gavin, quite clearly that there was ways round it, but they've chosen not to do it. And that's where my issue is. They've chosen not to do it. And
let's just talk about the last day then, right? Who is Hearts' most difficult fixture after the split? Which team?
For me, I think it's Hibs away.
Right. It's Celtic away. Okay.
It's not. We're unbeaten against them.
Celtic have won 999 out of the last 1,000 league titles. They've got 10 times your budget.
We're unbeaten against them.
Right. Okay, but generally speaking, Celtic are stronger than Hibs. So Celtic away is a harder game.
Gavin,
right?
I'm going to throw something else at you about that particular game,
You've
right?
thrown so much.
Right. I'm going to throw this at you. You talk about what's your hardest game, what's your toughest game, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what you're going to do there is say to me is that you've got your easier games before you get your hardest game in the split. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that yous are up in arms about not getting Hearts at home on the last day. One of the alternatives to get Hearts at home on the last day is to give you 3 consecutive away games in the split.
But they could also have done that with Rangers as well.
And that's even worse. That's meaning Rangers have to go and play Hearts, Celtic and Motherwell, whoever it is, Falkirk away from home 3 times in a row just so Hearts can get the last game at home. So that to me is a bigger controversy to say Rangers, you are getting 3 away games because we want Hearts at home because they might win the league title. No, to me, I think it's fairer to say one of the constraints is we will try and avoid having somebody doing 3 home or 3 away in a row. So you could do Rangers Rangers away 3 times in a row, and then it becomes mathematically possible to have Hearts at home on the final day. To me, that's unfair on Rangers. Another way you could do it is Hearts away 3 times in a row and then get the last game at home. Now, that's not unfair on Rangers or Celtic. That would just be on you. So as a Hearts fan, if you think, yeah, fine, I would have actually preferred 3 away games in a row just so we can end at home. But what that would have mean is you got Celtic about game 2 in the split when they're definitely still in it and they've got a chance to win in the league. If Celtic fall away, as a lot of people think they might, then you could not have asked for a better fixture than Celtic at Parkhead when it's Hearts v Rangers for the league. You and me could go and play for Celtic that day and put out a better show than some of their players would in that game.
Do you know what you've just said there by saying that?
Yeah, and I get that's a controversy, right?
That's another reason I put forward.
Yeah.
And I've said that a lot on X. You have just created an absolute minefield. Not you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just generally the SPFL. I've created a nightmare scenario that Celtic could go into that final day against Hearts knowing that if they draw or beat Hearts, they hand Rangers £40 million.
Yeah, and remember the European places, second gets the Champions League and third gets the Conference League or whatever.
But the SPFL have created this.
So what Celtic would
You've
then
just
be,
said that.
Yeah, and what they would be faced with as a club in the situation you've described is, do we still want Champions League qualifiers to finish second? So that's a huge thing for them. Or no, we can't get in that because we're going to lie down and let Hearts win the league. Now, I don't think it will even come to that because...
You think Celtic will fall away?
No, I don't think it'll come to that. I think they'll still be in it. I think Celtic will still have something to play for. But the point I was making was, as a Hearts fan that you are, that is where I would want a Celtic game. Get it away from us now because it's the hardest game, no matter what you're saying. Play it the last game at the split where Celtic might have less to play for as well. And I think that negates the whole have the thing at home. Winning the title at the reigning champions who win every league would be such a huge statement. Then everybody goes to Tynecastle, the players get the bus back, you have the best day ever. I think it's all noise and it's all just a hullabaloo over not a lot.
But you've just yourself went if, buts and maybes and what could happen, what might not happen. We shouldn't be in a position where we're doing this. Now I'm just going to go through some issues that I've got or that I think that the split throws up in regards to controversy. In the bottom 6 of the other 5 teams, this is Livingston, they've been away to 4 of them twice already, so they should get 3 home and 2 away in their final 5. The SPFL computer said no. Livingston got 2 home and 3 away, so Livingston will finish with 18 home and 20 away matches. Livingston will go to Dens Park 3 times, Tannadice 3 times. Let's not forget that Livingston can still mathematically save themselves. However, the SPFL have already decided, before a ball is kicked, that Livingston are going down and have decided that they should have the imbalance to help the other teams above them. Livingston and their fans deserve so much better. They are being shafted by the SPFL because they believe, and wrongly believe, that they'll go down because they can't know for sure that they will go down. They still have a mathematical chance of staying up. That's not fair.
Right.
That, for me, questions the integrity of the league.
So, fair point, right? That is unfair on Livy. However, the way the split has fallen, with Falkirk getting in the top 6 and Dundee United and Aberdeen being in the bottom 6, someone in the top half had to play 20 games at home and someone in the bottom had to play 18, and that is just it.
And that's fair.
I'm not saying it's fair. At the start, I've said that that's the best solution to a 12-team league.
The best solution to a bullshit league.
Right, it's not a bullshit league. But anyway, Livingston, right, were chosen because they're on the longest winless run in the history of top flight football, right? Nobody's ever done this poorly before. They won on the second day of the season. They've not won since.
It's not to the SPFL to judge what they're going to do in their next 5 games.
I know, but the decision that the SPFL had was which team do you pick for 18, right? And everybody has to have at least 2 home games after the split. So that meant it couldn't have been Dundee United. That would have been perfect. Dundee United are 7th. They're far away that they're not going to get relegated. Give them the 18 home games. Had Aberdeen not been in free fall and they'd been up at 7th, I guarantee Aberdeen would have got 18 home games and it wouldn't really have mattered in terms of the relegation. But Aberdeen are right down there now. So the options for the SPFL was who gets 18 games. Livy on 16 points, Kelly on 27 points, St Mirren on 30 or Aberdeen on 30. So there's 3 points between the 3 teams that are fighting to avoid the relegation playoff, right? Realistically, all 3 of them could be relegated this season. Livingston, although they're not mathematically down, they're 11 points off with 6 games to go. They could still come back. But
why are the SPFL making that judgment call?
So my question is, who do you choose instead? If you choose Aberdeen...
But you're missing the point,
I'm
Gavin.
not,
you are.
No, I'm not.
Gavin, you've just explained to me a reason why it is shit.
Right.
You've explained it to me why this is shit. Livingston still have a fighting chance. They're not out of anything just yet. You don't know that. I don't know that. Realistically, possibly, but at this moment, we don't know that. Yet they are being shafted by the SPFL, the governing body of our league. That is not fair. You must see that, and that's why this league and the setup of this league is a joke.
So I said right at the start that I understand and I agree that there are unfairnesses, imbalancings, shaftings, all of that, right?
Right.
But the alternative is 44 game seasons, which none of the clubs will vote for, or you decrease the league to 10 teams, which nobody wants. That just makes it worse, right? And you play less teams 4 times more often.
Do you feel sorry for Livingston?
Of course, aye.
Right. So I'm going to put forward another one for you. This involves Falkirk. So Falkirk, who are in the top half of the table, they've been rewarded with a 20th home game.
Yeah.
Why would that be? And I'll tell you.
6.
Well, no, but this is what I think, right?
Right.
Well, maybe not what I think, but it's clear what's happened here. Falkirk were due to host Celtic because of the way the fixtures had gone up till that point.
Okay.
So they were due to host Celtic, but because Celtic need 19 home and 19 away games, Falkirk have to return to Celtic Park for a third time to balance it out for Celtic.
Yep.
Correct. That meant that Falkirk were going to lose out financially.
No.
Oh, they were.
They're not.
Because they were in against Celtic.
They get Rangers instead. They were meant to go to Ibrox.
I'm getting to that.
Sorry.
Right, so they were going to miss out.
And by the way, they don't give many away tickets. It's about 700. They sell out.
Gavin, stop making excuses, mate. But you know the point I'm trying to make here, right? So they were going to miss out on the Celtic pound and the TV money that would likely come from that. So the SPF... Well, yeah, because that game would have been on the TV. That game would have been on the TV if Celtic are visiting.
Falkirk will be financially better off with this solution.
They
get an extra home game and they get Rangers instead of Celtic.
Let me make my point. So that meant that Falkirk were going to lose out on a home tie to Celtic, visiting fans, blah, 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 blah. And they get, as a reward, a 20th home game, right, to make up for what happened there. So they get their 20th home game, they get 18 away games. Now, out of Falkirk's last 5 games, this is unbelievable. Falkirk's last 5 games, 4 are being reversed. Yep. 4. Rangers, Hibs 3 times at home. Celtic, Hearts 3 times away.
Yeah.
Right? For me, I think it's a fair claim to suggest that Celtic and Hearts have been handed a massive advantage in the race for the title, and I'll tell you why. Celtic and Hearts will have played less games on plastic, a pitch that the SPFL want rid of, a pitch that the SPFL say is banned after this season, yet Rangers have to go there for a third time. That, to me, is a joke, and that is a disadvantage to Rangers in the title race. Is it not?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I had overlooked the fact that that was a plastic pitch, that they're going there again, and they've got them at the weekend here. So especially if Rangers drop points at Falkirk, then that will be more controversial than this Hearts home day thing, that they have to go there again, right? And I get that, and I did overlook that fact. So Rangers, yeah, that's a disadvantage. In the title race, they're going on a plastic park again. Fair enough, right? But somebody had to get 20 games in the top half.
But this is a point that I wanted to make, Gavin, about the split, and that is 2 examples that I've given you in regards to Falkirk and Livingston. And I feel sorry for Livingston. They've been shafted from a high height. And I do feel sorry for Rangers in this title race. They've been shafted royally by the SPFL by sending them to Falkirk for a third time on a plastic pitch where they have struggled to perform.
The alternative to that, though, is we give Rangers 20 home games and 18 away. Now, the shining light, the main thing that they try to get as much as possible is everyone plays 19 home and 19 away, and because of that they have to reverse some fixtures. The way they do that is they don't adjust any of them in the title race. So previously, Hearts have gone Ibrox 3 times when they were nowhere near the title race. But because they're in it, we can't reverse Hearts and Rangers games. We can't reverse Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Celtic, any of those 3 teams.
But you would agree with me that Hearts Celtic have got a favourable draw out of the last 5 fixtures because we don't have to go back to a plastic pitch.
Well,
and
so
we're getting Falkirk for a 3rd time, which gives us an advantage, and not playing on their plastic pitch, which we struggled when we beat them 1-0. But thankfully, we only had to go there once because the SPFL decided to send Rangers there for a 3rd time, which gives Celtic and Hearts an advantage.
And where I said at the start, there are unfairnesses and imbalances. This is one. Rangers are going on a plastic park more than Hearts Celtic. I totally agree with that.
And twice in a few weeks.
Yeah, and that's unfair. That's unfortunate, right?
And unfair.
Okay, it's unfair. But the alternative...
Now you know the reason why I hate the split fixtures.
But the alternative to that, and it doesn't sound like we do, but let's just on paper say we agree that a 12-team league is best. Yeah. We have to go with a split, right? And the solution here is someone gets 20 home games. Instead of Falkirk, do we give it to one of the top 3? Of course not. We give it to Falkirk, who are 6th. And then when we're reversing fixtures, so we can't give Rangers the fixtures they're due because they would then have 20 home and 18 away. So do we reverse the game against Hibs, or do we reverse the game against Falkirk? Or do you know what I mean? They've chosen the team that are in 6th and reversed 4 of their fixtures. It made perfect sense. I predicted this in February that these would be the fixtures because it was the only viable solution, in my opinion, right? They could do another thing. You're then balancing what's harder, Hibs or a plastic park at Falkirk. It's 6 and 2 3s or whatever. Falkirk are 6. So generally speaking, the team that's lowest, most likely to not get into Europe and most likely to not affect any of the other fixtures, those fixtures get reversed. So the solution for the top 6, I predicted months ago and think it's the best. The bottom 6 was harder because somebody had to get 18 home games. And as I said earlier...
So Livingston were shafted. The SPFL have already made a decision for them. You're going down.
It's not like they've said...
You're going down. Screw you.
They are going down, right? And it's...
And Rangers, see you Rangers, you're going to get the toughest fixture. To go somewhere for a 3rd time, you're going to Falkirk on that plastic pitch.
But Rangers have Hibs at Ibrox, do they not?
And also, just to pick up on that, Rangers have been sent there for a 3rd time. Celtic have struggled there. Hearts have struggled there. I'm guessing Rangers will struggle.
Drew there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they're going to struggle again probably on Sunday, and then they've got them again in a few weeks' time. That's why the split and the fixtures are a joke, and there needs to be radical change. And if you don't believe that, then we're going to be having this issue year in and year out, where league title winners are going to be questioned. This could be another one of those seasons where there's going to be an asterisk, or it'll be described as some sort of tainted title because of a refereeing decision, or because of a fixture that shouldn't have been where it was, or because a team has gone somewhere for a 3rd time. There's going to be all these questions raised. But there is, Gavin.
So
every year there's always something.
So name me any title in the last 20 years where it's because they went there the 3rd time. Nobody.
At
the end of the day, you play everyone in the top 6 once. So you've got 5 games. Home and away, whatever it works out, you'll get 19 home and 19 away if you're in the title race.
Yeah.
So you have to do it. So you're saying it's unfair for them to go to Falkirk again. Rangers have Hibs at Ibrox. They could have flipped that fixture instead. That, to me, would have been more controversial. You have to go to Easter Road against a stronger team on the league, on the table, than Falkirk. So
but the fact, Gavin, that we're sat here talking about a decision that will be more controversial than the other controversial decision.
So
we shouldn't be discussing
this. The main thing here is do you know what you want? Do you know what you want? You don't even want a go home.
You don't even want a Scottish Cup draw. You just want them to sit round a wee table with a wee supercomputer and go, do you know what would work best for us to get the best in regards to TV revenue, TV excitement? Let's put Celtic over here. We'll put Hearts there so that maybe they can meet in the semi-finals, and we'll put Rangers there, and we'll put that. Well, we can't send them there because they played on plastic before. And what about them? Well, we think they're shit, so we'll let them draw with Celtic in the Scot. You don't want draws.
I do.
You don't. Why?
I'm avid.
No, you don't, because
yes,
you know what should happen. You know what should happen. All of Scottish football, in the sense of the league structure, has to be looked at. It needs to be redesigned. It needs to be ripped up, and we need to start again. And what I want, and I think is the best for the game, is to get the fixture list out in the summer, and that's it. And we just play the games.
You would need to change the league, the number of teams, and I think we're at the best, because I think
I would much prefer a top division of 18, like a Super League. That's
terrible.
it. You say that. What you're saying that Wraith Rovers are a poor
You're wanting me
football
to
club?
say that these clubs are poor. That's not what I'm saying.
No, so you're saying that Wraith Rovers, Partick Thistle, Dunfermline, the likes, wouldn't they?
So those having these teams in raises the quality of the league. Having these teams rather than we are too small a nation for 18 teams, and that's so. I would like 14 teams. I think that would be best. But do
I keep the status quo?
I just said I would like 14 teams, but the format is not possible.
You don't think we're good? You don't think there's enough decent teams in there to have an 18-team top division? I think
for the size of country we've got, 12 teams is optimal, right? And there's drawbacks to the split, and I've admitted all of that, but I think the way it is as good as it can get for a 12-team league. It's why the Scottish model is being adopted elsewhere in Europe, right? So I don't think we should change it, right?
Right.
And if we're not changing it, I still agree that there are things that are unfair in it. But the solutions that were on offer, I think they've came to the best ones. And all I had said was it was impossible to have Hearts at home on the last day and keep all the restraints of there's no derbies on the final day. Nobody plays 3 home or 3 away in a row. And the big one of the second last game has to be on the same night. But
it wasn't impossible to change that. They could have done it.
Yeah.
They could have done it.
And then it would no longer be mathematically impossible if you took one away.
But your line is, mathematically, it wasn't possible, but it was. Human intervention stopped that from happening.
My line was, with a big and in capital letters, and meet all these criteria, which included the new one of everyone plays at the same time on the last night. So they want everyone to end home away or away home, which means you get your final game in front of your fans, one of the last two, because it would be unfair to end on 2 away games and you've not said goodbye to your fans for a couple of weeks. So all the constraints that there are, the guidelines they try to follow, they're not rules or regulations. To have all those guidelines in, it was mathematically impossible to have Hearts at home. Could you have removed one and given Hearts 3 consecutive away games? Yes. Then it wouldn't be mathematically impossible. So I wasn't saying it was impossible for Hearts to be at home last. I was saying it was impossible. And I put it in capital letters just in case you missed it, have all of those things met. Before we go, what was Hearts' score in the last 4 home games? Or just think of any of them recently.
1-0.
Yeah. All 4 have been 1-0. If you win 1-0 at the weekend, it will be the longest consecutive home run of the same score in Scottish football history.
Before we finish here, I'm going to ask you one final question. Who's winning the league?
One of the top 3, probably. I don't think Hearts. And that's not just because you're there. I think they've kind of winning 1-0 4 times in a row, not beating Livy, bottom team in the league that are going to stay up.
You're depressing me now.
Not beating, they lost at Killie. I was there. I was in the Killie.
They lost to St Mirren.
And he's lost to St Mirren. They're the 3 bottom teams in the league.
Yeah.
Would the champions do that?
Well, we'll find out.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? So where are Hearts finishing?
I said before, on the last day of the transfer window, Hearts would finish second. I was on a Celtic podcast and I said Hearts would be second. And I still think they'll be second.
You think Celtic will win it?
I genuinely, on that same interview I'm referencing, I said toss a coin and see who's first or third between Rangers and Celtic, and I'm still at that point. Up until the post-split fixtures came out, I thought Rangers were going to win it because they've been scoring more and the defence is a little tighter, but actually having 4 home games for Celtic of the last games, Rangers have only got 2. Rangers go on this plastic pitch twice. I would be less sure that it's going to be Rangers now.
Celtic are favourites to win it.
Fine. I'm not the bookies, right?
You look at the fixtures.
Aye, and I see that 4 home games. Yeah, and they don't have to go to this impossible plastic pitch.
And Rangers are disadvantaged in the split fixtures.
Well, they've got 19 home and they've got 19 away.
3 times on plastic. You acknowledge that yourself.
Yeah, and they're playing everyone in the
top 6
Which is
why
ones.
The SPFL and the split are a joke, and will remain a joke, and will always be a joke. I'll shake your hand again. We did so well there. We didn't even need the beep machine, and then he goes and ruins it. Right, we'll beep that bit.
I was going to call you a right at the start, but then I was told no swearing.
We're keeping all this in. We'll beep that out. Right, that's it. Thanks to Gavin.
No problem, mate.